Hello there YouTube, welcome to the second edition of my winter collection series from 2016-2017. We're playing some 20NL on Sky Poker today, and hopefully we'll get in some pretty fun spots because we have some reasonable tables. To explain my tagging system, yellow is weak regular, red is competent regular, green is recreational player, and if we see any light blues, that essentially means a really bad recreational player. If any pink pops up, which is unlikely, it usually means good aggressive regular or spewy regular. Because I so rarely use the pink tag, I think there's only two, possibly three players I have tagged that way. I can typically tell them by memory, so it doesn't matter that the pink doesn't differentiate between very good aggressive regular and very bad aggressive regular. That doesn't matter very much because there's so few players that actually have that tag. I'm not expecting to see any of those players tonight. They typically play earlier hours than this. One of the guys might turn up, but he usually plays 13L too, so not expecting to see him at the 20L tables. I'm probably going to squeeze it up on table 3 if nobody raises in front of us. This guy's posted, not sure what pin man did, not sure if he limped or if he posted too. A bit concerned because RTC is a bit of a 3-bet monkey in the big blind. I mean, he very rarely does that, the 3-bet jam. But whatever. He's one of those. I know he watches my videos, and he sometimes trolls me on Twitter, which is fine. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about him actually, because I don't want to give too much away against how I'm going to play against him, or how I do play against him. But needless to say, I don't think he's very good. I think he thinks he's good maybe, but I think he has a few flaws that they're just getting picked apart. He kind of comes and goes from Sky. I'm not sure if that's because he like busts and reloads, or if he just plays other places too. But I have a hard time believing that he'll be a solid winning regular. Even though when he does play, he tends to play quite a few tables. And I think we'll leave it there with him. Liam Boy is a player I've got a decent amount of respect for. He's just solid. Don't know if he watches my videos or not. He doesn't say. If he does, he's probably aware of them. And I'm not about to insult him because he seems like a really nice guy at the tables. I think he just gets the job done. You know, I think his game selection's up to stuff. He gets the job done. He'll be the first to admit, because we often chat about the tables, he's one of the biggest whiners you could ever meet in the world. No one runs worse than Liam, according to Liam. But yeah, he seems like a really nice guy, and I'm certainly not going to go out of my way to pass comment on his game, because it does the job. Let's just say that it at least does the job, and I actually think he's one of the more skilled players in the 20NL games, I think. So we've had our raise called by Joey Tech. It's a really wet board. He doesn't have a lot of money. I'm going to actually go for an overbet here. Not expect him to fold like any pair or any draw on this board. And I'm just going to jam the turn. Again, not expecting him to fold a pair or a draw too often. I play with this stack size. There's ways we can be beat, but I'm just not going to worry about it. If we're beat, we're beat. I think we can get called by tons of worse hands here. When he bets into us, I'd rather he checks so he could just jam, because I think his bet call range is possibly going to be slightly stronger than his check call range, but whatever. If he has us beat with 2 pair or something, then good for him. Lead on table 1 after we turn the straight, and he does just have the 1 pair, and we hold. so that's good. And we can get away with overbetting on those boards without overpairs against players who we don't expect to be skilled regulars, because they're going to have such a wide calling range on that board. So we can just get away with like overbetting flop and then just like overbet jamming the turn. Otherwise we end up with just like really awkward stack sizes, and too often there people will end up underbetting because they'll be scared of overbetting, so they end up betting too small and then getting confused when board run out a bit shit for them, and it's just too easy to misplay there. It's just super easy to overbet flop, hope he calls, jam turn, hope he calls. It's a much better line to take in my opinion than like 2/3 flop and then oh shit that turn card's not great, just half pop the turn, and it just gets super awkward and super shitty. I'd much rather just set my hand and say, you know what, this guy looks like he's going to be a fun player, looks like he's going to have a pretty wide calling range, so let's just exploit that part of his range. And the times he sometimes gets there on the turn when the 7 comes or the 8, whatever it was, and makes his 2 pairs or makes his straights, we're just going to deal with that. We're just going to accept that's part of the game of poker, and we're not going to cry about it. We are going to race to isolate Dino, but we're not going to make it too big because of RTC and the big blind who would be on the more aggressive side. Pretty dry flop, so we're just going to make a small stab. Tables look like they're breaking up slightly, so I'm not sure how long this video is going to run for. We're not going to see bet this board with our bottom pair. We've been called in 2 spots. Just going to keep checking down, I think. No reason to get too excited. And now we take river trips. We'll probably just end up making like a 60p value bet, trying to get caught by a hand like pocket 6s, something like that. And we did get called. Let's see what it was they called with. Wouldn't it be cool if it was exactly pocket 6s? I'm going to call this bet because of his stack size. Pocket 6s, please be pocket 6s. Like a genius. Oh, deuce 4. What on earth? They turned a 4. Whatever. Oops, we're sitting out because we're too busy looking at my showdown. I think it's important to look at showdowns though. I mean, it's not important in a way you have to sit out next hand to do it, but it's important that you look at what people are calling you down with, because we just get most of our information from showdown hands. So when we do get to showdown against players, we need to be making sure we're gathering that information in so we can hopefully use it to our advantage in future hands. I expect RTC to just bet a lot here, and I'm just going to fold to him. I'm just going to let him do his thing most of the time. Not worry too much about it. Ace 8 suited. We've already got him heads up, so we don't need to raise to isolate here, and I think it's not too thin for value, but I don't think we need to be raising for value there and then be out of position against someone who may be a calling station. Doesn't make sense to me to raise there. There's nothing wrong with raising, but it doesn't make, it's not like it's the best play ever either. We'll keep playing 3-handed while good heads at the table. If it turns into a heads up battle between himself and Liam, it'll probably be a race to see who sits out first, Liam or I. I won't be going out of my way to try and grim him or anything like that. We'll just, the minute good head leaves, I'll just be hitting the sit out next big blind button, and that'll be that. I'm not going to take a cheap shot at Liam by just like min raising my button or something and grimming him for the big blind or whatever. It's not going to be, it's not in my makeup, it's not in my nature. Let the 7-9 off go. Deuce 3, 4, 5 on table 3, but whatever, who cares? As you can see, as usual, when I'm playing on Sky, I'm making sure that I have some pretty good tables. It took me a while to get 3 tables up and running, so unfortunately we haven't seen just how good table 1 has been. But as you can see, I've doubled my stack, and I've only been playing around 20 minutes. Sky is definitely a good place to play if you're a UK player at the all micro stakes up to 40 and I would say 50 becomes very reggy. At 50 games, you tend to have like people who play 100 and sometimes 200 playing too, mixing limits because they just can't get the action they want at Sky on the higher limits. So I don't think 50 is that good a game on Sky, but 20, 30 and 40 for sure are good games. My goal is typically to try and take £100 to £200 a week out of the games, depending on my volume. I don't always achieve that goal, but it's usually my starting point. If I get full volume and if I get my 20 plus hours a week on Sky, I'm hoping to be winning at least £8 to £10 per hour. If I get running at full speed, if I have like a full week's 20 hours at like almost maximum tables at all times. Hopefully Liam Boy doesn't raise here because it's going to make me quite irritated, but it doesn't, so that's good. I'm going to try 3-betting Liam just once, just to let him know he can't always just get away with min raising from the button. Hopefully he'll take the hint. I'm not interested in getting in like massive ego wars with Liam, but at the same time I don't want him getting too out of line with his frequencies and just like always making me like fold for like 40 pence or whatever. So now again, I just like let him know we're still there. Skeleton Man limits here. We're going to make a reasonable isolation raise and call it off. Liam isolates him here. I think we can go for a 3-bet fold. We're 3-betting for value against Skeleton Man. And we're kind of bluffing against Liam. And Liam will either 4-bet or fold most of the time here. And he defies me by calling, so there we go. So what do I think Liam's range is for calling here? I think it's going to be like Ace Queen, Ace 10 suited, middle pairs, that type of thing. Very dry board, so we're certainly going to bet once against Liam. He calls. That makes me think he's either got some kind of like pocket 10s, pocket 9s, king, queen, that type of thing. Fire the second barrel just to get him to fold everything except a king here. I don't expect him to fold a king, but I would expect him to at this point to fold pocket 10s, pocket 9s, that type of hand. And he calls again. I'm just pretty confident he's got a hand like king, queen, king, jack suited. Not ace king. I think he usually 4-bets ace king. Ow, all in. Which makes me think he's bluffing unless he has just called twice with 2 10s. Or maybe, no. We're just going to fold, obviously. We can't really bluff catcher against Liam. And again, he's called my 3-bet, which didn't really want to create this dynamic with him. With this being a much wetter board. And make a much bigger c-bet. Calls, turn is an ace. We can't bet for value now, so we have to start by checking and then evaluating from there. There's a reasonable chance I end up check calling this river, given how it's kind of bricked out. Don't expect him to bet like tens or something like that here. Don't know really what ace-x he can have that float to flop, unless he just like really just stubbornly floats like with that ace-queen, something like that. I think we have to pay this one off. Don't like it, but I think we have to pay it off. And yeah, so it looks like Liam just wants to dick with me a little bit, which is a shame because there's no reason to be like that when you're at a table with fish, recreational, let's call it what you will, regulars going after each other. It just makes no sense. Just like, for me, it's stay out of each other's way and get on with the business of stacking the fish, and only get in each other's way if someone's getting out of line. And you know, maybe I didn't need to 3-bet Liam like with the King 8 or it was earlier, but maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't understand that I'm not really looking for a war with him, and maybe he wants to get involved and create that kind of dynamic. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it does. We're very friendly. We chat at the tables, but maybe that's just a cunning ploy of his. Who knows? Either way, he won a reasonable pot. I won a reasonable pot, and well, just to bear in mind what's happened. I'll raise my set of 4s on the turn here against Dino. Lots of draws can call. Queen X is going to call. Unfortunately, he had a folding hand, but when he leads into 2 players after the turn flop checks through, I think we can make a reasonable assumption that he's going to be able to call our raise at least a reasonable amount of the time. That was just one of the times that he couldn't, I guess. I'm not going to beat myself up too much about it. If we have to check the flop to the raise that checks through, then he bets the turn relatively small. We need to raise for value. We didn't get called. Whatever. I was going to raise a 10-9, but again, we've already got the guy heads up, blowing the pot out of position. And like 10-9 doesn't make a whole load of sense to me. Peeler Jack 8 suited on the button on table 3, and Mark Rossman as green for now because he's bought in for less than 100 big blinds. TC's gone for his squeeze again. We're just going to have to fold, and we're going to keep an eye on exactly what's going on. I'm going to fold the King Queen discounter, and don't fancy flipping for 15 blinds against someone who's been happy to limp most of the time. Rooting for Rossman here. Rossman did not get the job done for us. This is typically how my dynamic with RTC goes. He tends to run over me in relatively small pots, and then eventually he makes a huge mistake and just like dumps a stack on me for no reason. I kind of go into full Helmuth mode with RTC. I said I wasn't going to give him a strategy away, but whatever. I just go into full Helmuth mode, trap, and like just let him run over me in the small pots and show him a big one. I mean, that must be up a decent amount of money lifetime versus RTC, and he just never readjusted to me. He just continually just makes the same plays against me time and time again, and he's just like really one-dimensional. I'm probably going to get a load of abuse on Twitter again from him. Sent me a couple of like tweets and a couple of direct messages saying, "Oh, my chat's banned, my name's Keel Sanderson, blah de blah de blah." Then he sent me a load of other messages, called me a nit and a twat, and he seems quite unstable, to be honest with you. He seems like he's a pretty unstable sort of person, probably like his bankroll seems to be. But yeah, there is certainly a dynamic between us, and I think I end up getting the best of it long term. We have one pair on a very dry board on table 2, so we're going to try and improve it, which we do, and we're just going to lead straight out with it, I think. And unfortunately we get 2 4s, which isn't the biggest surprise. On that board like that's so dry, min bet and a call, we can't expect to get a ton of action when we turn trips, but the table's playing quite passively, so don't really want to be checking strong hands, strong value hands against players who are likely to be taking passive lines quite often. Kurt joined the table on table 1. Kurt is a mass tabler. He plays a heck of a lot of hands, probably makes an awful lot of money, but I'm not sure how well he does in terms of win rate. I'm up for a big squeeze here, not expecting to get 2 folds on table 3, and we're not disappointed. We don't get the 2 folds, we just get 1 call, which is pretty much ideal. Just going to take a smallish stab on table 2. We're going to make a large bet on table 3, on table 1, sorry, make the small stab on table 3. We're just going to make a large bet with the intention of jamming the turn. I'm still going to jam the turn. The 10 is pretty shit for us. It's a squeeze pot. If he's called us like a jack 10, queen 10, ace 10, and then managed to somehow flop top pair turn trips in, good for him. We can still get called by jacks, queens, some draws and things here too. He doesn't snap. I'm pretty happy with the situation. Now it's just a matter of is he going to call or not, and he doesn't, so whatever. Some draws missed on this club's missed, but the ace got there if he was drawing to the nut flush. I'm just going to fold. We don't need to bluff catch with like 3rd pair to the board there. Make a small value bet with our queen 8 on table 2. Then we get the 4 straight away. The owner's only 1 tabling, but he seems to be playing quite solidly. If Diamant stays sat out for any given amount of time, I will probably not continue playing table 2 with Kurt, and then just like some other guy who seems to be playing solidly, and just the only recreational player with 10 big blinds. It really isn't worth staying at that table for me. And Diamond is actually left now, so what we're going to do is sit out next big blind, stand up and leave the table, and try and find another table to complete the video. So he's going to pause for now. I'll be back when I have 3 tables again. So we're back with another table. Table 1 is still the same as it was before. Table 3 has shifted to where table 2 was, and table 3 is now the new table. Straight away we managed to get on a table with just 1 regular. 2, we've got the Jesus seat on 2 players that were already tagged green, and we can already tag Zyg as green because of his stack size, leaving just Meg the whatever, Meg the leg or something, is it? If that's ever going to save. Yes, it has. Is it Meg the leg? Meg the leg 2. Leaving Meg the leg 2 as the only player that we don't have tagged. I should probably tag RTC as that under the bad aggressive reg tab rather than the good aggressive reg. Again, he's just at the 3rd or maybe the 4th player with that tag. To get that tag, you have to be somebody I know quite a lot about. You don't just get that tag after a handful of sessions. So I'm reasonably happy with my tables right now, and I don't care whether I'm playing 20-0, 30-0, 40-0. My sole goal when I log into Sky is find the softest tables I can find and grind them, whatever that happens to be. Tonight it happens to be that 20-0 is a place that the games are mostly running at with the types of players I want to play against in. Tomorrow night I might log in and it could be 2 tables of 40, 1 table of 30. I don't rightly give a toss. What I do give a toss about is playing against players that I know I have a significant edge against, because I'm in this just to make money. I've no ego whatsoever. I just want to find the worst players I can find, and I want to relive them. I enjoy playing poker, I enjoy gambling, but most of all, I enjoy winning. And I'd rather win against a bunch of really terrible players and just take the money than win for a small rate against a bunch of really good players and feel like the pride of, look at me, I'm crushing the best players. Couldn't give a toss about being able to crush the best players. I give a toss about being able to find terrible players and being the guy that relieves them of their money quicker than most other regulars do, because I'm only playing a select number of tables and probably playing with a lot more attention to detail and a lot more focus. So that is my sole purpose. Fill my tables with as much green as possible. And that's it. Alright, I could log it, I could pull a lobby over now and show a number of tables where they're just regs battling regs. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is Sky Poker. Sky Poker isn't about battling regs. Not at the micro stakes, at least. Sky Poker, I'm just going to put Yaz in here. Sky Poker is all about, in my opinion, finding the really weak players and just taking their money as quickly as possible. There really is nothing else more to it than that, in my opinion, the micro stakes. And anyone that does it differently on Sky, in my opinion, is making a big mistake. I see rakeback pros on Sky, people like Kurt, who is no doubt a solid, very solid player, and no doubt he makes decent money. But Kurt's good enough, in my opinion, to play at less tables, increase his win rate, and probably increase his hourly. He just chooses not to. He just chooses to mass table at the micro stakes and probably make most of his money from rewards. I mean, I'm sure Kurt probably makes more than me per month in terms of like net profit, because he undoubtedly plays more than I do. He's probably quadruples my volume, but I very much doubt he quadruples my earnings. So different strokes make different forks, I guess, don't they? So I'm not going to go out of my way to criticise them too much. It's just risen, really. I don't understand. If you want to play the mass table like rakeback game, then there's better sites to do it than Sky, in my opinion. And I should have C-bet in my Ace-10 there. I was too busy rambling about being a rakeback pro on Sky and why it's not the best place to be a rakeback pro. I've no fucking clue what's going on here now, but we're just going to call, because if I raise again, it feels like I'm only going to get it in against full houses and trips and things. I've really butchered this hand, by the way. I blame myself, but for just like losing concentration. But I have proper butchered this hand. I'm really hoping to hit a 10 or an ace now, not a spade. I don't think we can bluff. If I bluff, I have to bet really big, and I don't really want to, so we're just going to give up and accept that I butchered it. Sadly, we could have got that hand to fold. So yeah, I completely fucked that hand up. Mostly because I was wibbling on about Kurt. So yeah, that was a badly played hand by me. I think I misplayed every single street, but that's going to happen sometimes, whatever. It's not something I'm proud of, it's not something I'm pleased about, but it's going to happen when I'm making videos. It's going to happen when I'm not making videos. We all fucking slaughter hands from time to time. It's just built into the fabric of the game. There won't be a person alive who doesn't slaughter a hand on a weekly basis if they play a high enough volume. I completely slaughtered that one, whatever. Let's move on. We have 2 pair on table 3. Lead out for pot. There's plenty of like straight draws, flush draws can call. I'm going to hope for a nice juicy brick river. Of which that card is not a nice juicy brick river. I was thinking like the 9 of diamonds or something like that. 8 of diamonds. I guess we're just going to check now and maybe call a small bet. Kind of tempted to raise for value when he bets that small. Then we can raise here and fold to a 3-bet for value and just get called by like maybe ace-x sometimes or whatever. If you bet bigger, I would just have called, but when he just min bets, I just think my 2 pair's going to be good. Way too often to not raise there. Versus I think calling would just be too weak. Let's see what he did look us up with. Ace queen. Wow. I think we can safely say the green tag on Zag is an accurate one. Make the leg doesn't appear to be reloading, so for the time being she should get the green tag too. So now we have 3 tables open. There's 10 seats taken, not 12, 16 seats taken. We've got 3 of them, so there's 13 seats open, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green tagged players from 13 seats. This is my kind of session. I would much rather have 3 of these tables than be playing speed poker, getting 3 times as many hands per hour, if not more than that, maybe 6 times as many hands per hour, and having a relatively derisory win rate. This is exactly what I do. Some people dismiss it as, oh, it's just predatory behaviour, etc. It's this, it's that, it's the other. It's how poker's been since the year dot, until recently, when all of a sudden predatory behaviour was like something that was frowned upon. Well, I mean, predatory behaviour has been part of poker for as long as poker's existed. Doug Brunson didn't drive all around the fucking deep south of America with a shotgun in the back of his car to play equally skilled regulars and challenge himself. He did that to play some of like the biggest net depositors he could find. And that was how poker completely was. That's exactly what poker was until, I would say, the advent of Rush. And then Rush just came along and changed pretty much everything. And fold the king queen suited here to the min raise and the 3-bet. Might seem a little bit tight, but Kurt is such a nit. And sometimes this can happen. We can just not always get to see a flop because we call and the 3-bet goes, sorry, the 4-bet goes in and the 5-bet goes in. Kurt will be super nutted here. The bottom of his range pre-flop will be ace king. He's going to have that way more often. We would have obviously won that pot with our flush, but whatever. So yeah, I mean, if you ever read on the forums how being a bum hunter is bad for you, bad for your game, it's not how poker should be played, etc., etc. That's how poker's been played since its conception until speed poker became a thing. That's how all the pros during the boom time, that's how they all built their bankrolls. They built it by being good players and studying the game really hard, but they also built it off the back of playing people like Elliot Lesra, who was playing off full tilt money, off the back of playing Gila Liberté, who just had like more money than money could buy, from playing Roman Abramovich, from people like that. That's where they got all the money from. They didn't get it through being like the sickest of the sickest. They got it because people were just putting money into poker sites and didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing. But now all of a sudden, bum hunting, game selection, call it what it's frowned upon. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. We're going to call this all in by Rossman. It's the second time in a row he's done it. King Queen suited way too strong and somebody who's probably tilting. I mean, he does just have the ace high, but I still think our call is pretty much mandatory against somebody who is just like, looks like he's lost a big pot and he's just like auto jamming constantly. We'll end up losing the pot, but again, it really isn't a big deal to me. I think the call's absolutely fine. Yeah, it's 30 blinds, but his range is going to be almost any 2 by the look of things. We get called on that board. We're not going to double barrel on the turn when it completely bricks off. Just going to hope to hit an 8 or a 7 or a diamond on the river. If we're allowed to. We're not, so that's that. We're going to keep our eyes on Rossman just for a moment to see if he's calmed down any since he's double up or if he's still going to be just like spewing chips all over the place. Goodhead hasn't raised very often at all. We're just going to flat with the ace-9 suited. Keep Moshan in the pot. He's been much more inclined to just limp in as Goodhead. And we're going to bet the river for very thin value. Well, not very thin, but thin value. Checks to us on table 3, so we're going to start betting, hoping not to get raised, hoping just go check call, check call, check call, and just win against Jack X or something. Rossman seems to be still continuing with his all-in tactic. Yeah, so Rossman was clearly just tilting. We were just, I think we can consider ourselves super unlucky that he turned up with the hand that just had the cue for King Queen suited. And now, sadly, he's just dumped his stack. And give a shout out to Healy Dog here, who is somebody who is currently getting some sessions from me. I think we discussed earlier. Well, in fact, no, we're not going to talk about what we discussed earlier, but yeah, when you watch this video, buddy, you'll already know what I'm going to talk to you about. Should really, is there another tag we can use for players that know me? No, there isn't. Nope. It's a shame. That's a shame. But whatever. It's whatever a lot of us today. We're in a really not arsed mood. Not in like a not arsed poker mood, just in a whatever kind of mood. Feeling quite non-produced with it all. I've had a really busy time since the start of the month. My volume's been nowhere near what I wanted it to be. I've been trying to start an online not an online business, a business offline with my wife, which is us giving private respite care to families that have children with learning disabilities, and it's finally getting off the ground. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting the last 2 or 3 weeks. Now we're starting to meet prospective clients and prospective families, and then we're also trying to do our day jobs at the same time. And on top of that, my mum's had a hip replacement operation at the end of last week, at the start of August, start of October. So my volume is significantly down from where it should be, which is a shame because, as I said in my first video, this is a time of year where we should really be pushing on and trying to capitalise, but sometimes, life just takes over, doesn't it? And this has been one of those times where hopefully now my mum's at a hospital, she's a lot better. We've done a lot of the spade work with getting the business off the ground, so I'm kind of hoping now that I can settle in and get some decent grinding for the rest of the month. I'm going to bomb this flop, I think, and reluctantly get it in if we get raised. I'm acutely aware that Paddy's been tilting at the other table, booking sick all night, etc, etc. He's another player, a little bit like Liam, but nowhere near. Sorry, much more bitter than Liam is, I guess. Liam moans about running bad, but he kind of does it in a jocular way. Paddy really doesn't like running bad. Which nobody does, of course. Nobody likes running bad. But you've got to be at peace with it, because it's going to happen. If you play poker for any decent amount of time, you're going to go through runs that you never thought were possible. And if you can't handle that, then poker really isn't for you. But I think we're going to call it a day on the video there. Table 2 is not what I thought it was going to be. It's not too great. And it is 2:10 in the morning. I need to be up reasonably early. So even though I've got good tables, I'm probably not going to play for too much longer. And we're going to end the video here, and hopefully it won't be another 12 days before I make my next video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as usual. Any questions, any comments, any feedback, just leave it wherever you find the video and I'll find it and I'll be delighted to respond to you. The more constructive or the more friendly the comment, the better the response will be. If you just want to come on and tell me that I'm a fucking wanker or that I suck or that whatever, you disagree with something I've done and you want to do it in a negative and aggressive manner, you're probably not going to get my attention. But yeah, do it anyway because it's fun to read. Okay guys, we'll leave it there for now. Good luck. Oh, no, we'll play the ace jack suited before I sign off. Could squeeze here, but RTC is just live enough to fucking 4-bet light and can't be asked dealing with that, so we'll just call, play a flop in position with a pretty strong hand. Don't think Kurt ever squeezes light here. So if he squeezes, we're just going to get out of the way. We've flopped some backdoor equity, but very little else. So if anyone bets into this pot, probably just going to concede. On the other hand, if nobody bets, we'll probably just take like a half pot stab. But we're going to concede. Right, so there we go. We'll call it a day there. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the month, and we'll catch up soon. Goodbye for now.